Inside an Australian store, a drink theft attempt stalls when the exit refuses to open. The scene takes place inside a retail store with drink coolers near the entrance and the checkout counter on the right. A man moves through the front area while the cashier stays behind the register. The store layout gives him quick access to the drinks, but the exit door appears controlled or locked. The man tries to leave with the drinks, but the locked door stops his escape. Instead of walking out, he gets stuck near the front entrance as the plan breaks down. The theft attempt fails inside the store. The man cannot leave through the door, and the cashier remains behind the counter while the situation stays contained. Inside a Nisa convenience store, an armed robber rushed toward the counter, but the shop manager had beer cases within reach. Inside the Nisa convenience store, a man is working behind the counter during a normal shift. A man dressed in dark clothing rushes into the shop and moves directly toward the counter area. The robbery attempt depends on speed, pressure, and surprise, with the register space becoming the main point of control. A man didn't freeze. With packs of Carling beer directly in front of him, he grabbed the nearest cases and hurled them toward the robber, forcing the suspect to back away from the counter. The robber's plan collapsed within seconds. Instead of leaving with cash or goods, he fled the shop empty-handed while the manager stayed behind the counter. Counter robberies require barriers, camera coverage, emergency procedures, protected retreat space, and a safe distance instead of direct close-range confrontation. Inside a small convenience store, a hooded robber leaned over the counter expecting quick control, but the shopkeeper refused to give up the register area. Inside the small convenience store, an older shopkeeper stands behind the front counter near the register area. A hooded man in dark clothing moves directly into the cashier space and reaches toward the counter. The tight shop layout gives the robbery attempt very little room, with the counter, register, and exit all close together. Instead of backing away, the shopkeeper stayed near the counter and fought to keep control of the workspace. The suspect tried to push deeper into the register area, but the counter layout, the tight space, and the shopkeeper's resistance slowed the robbery down. The attempted robbery lost momentum. The suspect's quick grab plan turned into a struggle for space, giving the shopkeeper time to disrupt the attack and prevent an easy escape with the cash. Small store counters need barriers, panic buttons, visible cameras, clear retreat paths, and staff training for sudden register area pressure. At an ATM area, a group of thieves tried to rush the machine, but the escape plan broke down almost immediately. At the ATM/business location, the cash machine area appears to be the main target. At least two suspects move quickly near the entrance and ATM wall through a blurry security camera view. Their plan appears to rely on speed, forced access, and leaving before the location can fully respond. As one suspect moves in, another rushes across the floor toward the ATM area. The movement becomes chaotic, and the suspect's momentum turns against him near the machine. The robbery attempt loses control within seconds. Instead of a clean theft, the suspects end up scrambling around the ATM space, with the plan falling apart under bad timing, poor footing, and panic. ATM theft prevention depends on lighting, cameras, alarms, reinforced surrounds, entry control, and rapid reporting before suspects dominate the workspace. Inside a Utrecht snack bar, two masked robbers step toward the counter, but the shopkeeper turns the nearest chair into a barrier. Inside the Utrecht snack bar, the shopkeeper is positioned near the counter in a small customer area. Two men enter wearing improvised face coverings, with one moving forward while the other stays close behind. The counter space becomes the pressure point as the pair tries to close the distance inside the shop. As the robbery attempt begins, the shopkeeper reacts fast. Instead of backing deeper into the shop, he grabs a wooden chair and drives the suspects away from the counter space. The suspects lose control of the scene and retreat toward the exit. The robbery attempt collapses inside the shop before they can fully dominate the space. Small shops should protect counter distance, keep exits clear, use alarms, maintain cameras, and avoid extended close-range confrontation whenever possible. Inside a Bendigo 24-hour convenience store, a masked robber steps up to the counter with a firearm, but the store assistant refuses to hand over cash. Inside the Williamson Street convenience store, the store assistant is working behind the counter during the early morning hours. Around 2:20 a.m., a man wearing a balaclava enters and moves toward the counter area. The late-night setting, limited staff presence, and close register space make the counter the center of the robbery attempt. The robber demands cash, but the store assistant does not comply. The suspect remains at the counter briefly, then loses control of the attempt when the demand fails. The robber leaves the store empty-handed and is later seen getting into the passenger side of a silver Commodore sedan on Hopper Street. Late-night stores need barriers, cameras, silent alarms, safe positioning, and reporting procedures instead of close confrontation at the counter. Inside a cell phone store, a man pretends to browse the display, then suddenly tries to rip a phone free from the security stand. Inside the cell phone store, staff are nearby while a man moves along the display counter. He appears to browse like a regular customer, checking the phones positioned on the white demo table. The open display layout gives him access to the devices, but each phone is secured to the counter. He grabs one phone and pulls hard, trying to take it from the display, but the device is secured to the counter and the theft attempt immediately fails. The phone stays attached to the display, leaving the suspect with nothing. The setup's security tether prevents a quick grab and run. Electronics displays should use strong tethers, active alarms, staff visibility, and layouts that slow sudden grab and run attempts immediately. A package thief runs from a residential property, but the homeowner turns the getaway into a quick lesson in bad planning. Outside a residential property in broad daylight, a homeowner's property appears to be targeted. A suspect moves away from the house area toward a parked car on the street. The escape path runs from the property to the vehicle, suggesting a quick attempt to leave before anyone can respond. Instead of letting the suspect drive off clean, the homeowner runs toward the suspect's car and reaches inside. The suspect keeps moving, but the homeowner manages to grab a purse or bag from the vehicle. The suspect leaves the area without the expected clean escape. The homeowner ends up recovering leverage from the getaway car, turning the attempted theft into an instant reversal. Property theft response should favor distance, plate details, camera footage, direction of travel, and police reporting over entering escape paths. A smoke shop robbery turns instantly when the cashier uses the nearest object behind the counter to stop the suspect's advance. Inside a small smoke shop or convenience store, the cashier is positioned behind the register. A man in dark clothing stands close to the checkout counter and appears to reach toward the register area. The short distance between the counter, register, and customer space makes the robbery attempt unfold very quickly. As the suspect stays close to the counter, the shop worker reacts fast and launches a large chair or bulky object from behind the counter. The sudden counteraction breaks the suspect's control of the situation and forces him to pull back. The suspect retreats from the register area without completing the robbery. The store worker keeps distance behind the counter and uses the object as a barrier to stop the advance. During register threats, use barriers, alarms, cameras, locked doors, and safe exits first. Then report details once the suspect leaves. A woman arrives home after work, but the driveway turns into a sudden bag snatch attempt before the suspect realizes she won't let go. A woman arrives home in a black car and steps out near the driveway and gate area. A motorcyclist or bag snatcher appears to be waiting nearby, moving in as she exits the vehicle. The narrow driveway, car door, and front entrance create a tight space where the bag snatch attempt begins. The suspect tries to grab her bag near the vehicle door, but the victim immediately holds on and fights back. Instead of gaining control, the suspect gets pulled into a struggle inside the driveway. The victim keeps control of the bag, and the suspect loses the advantage near the small garden edge. The robbery fails, the bag stays with the victim, and the driveway scene turns against the suspect. Home arrival safety depends on lighting, closed gates, secure bags, awareness near vehicles, and moving indoors before reporting from safety. Inside a Best One shop in Concord, an armed robbery attempt turns fast when the shopkeeper refuses to back away from the counter. Inside the Best One shop in Concord, the shopkeeper is working behind the counter. Christopher Allison enters the store and presents a blank-firing handgun During the attempted robbery, the counter becomes the dividing line between the shopkeeper's workspace and the suspect's attempt to control the store. Instead of gaining control, the suspect's weapon hand becomes the focus of the struggle. The shopkeeper leans over the counter, grabs toward the gun, and forces the robber to lose momentum. The suspect retreats from the counter and moves toward the store exit. The shopkeeper chases him out of the shop, and the robbery attempt fails. Counter robberies involving weapons require distance, cover, alarm use, clear exits, and police response instead of reaching toward the weapon. Before sunrise on the 1900 block of Burgundy, a walking victim faces an armed robbery attempt that quickly turns against the gunman. Before sunrise on the 1900 block of Burgundy, a person walks along the sidewalk around 5:05 a.m. A man approaches on foot with a shotgun and demands money. A black four-door sedan waits nearby, later bringing two more suspects into the scene. The robber loses control when the victim disarms the gunman and chases him away. Moments later, the sedan pulls into the scene and the occupants try to recover the shotgun by claiming the victim dropped a phone. The victim keeps control of the weapon and uses it to damage the sedan's rear windshield. The two suspects flee toward Frenchman and St. Claude, and the robbery attempt ends with the group leaving the area. Street robberies with nearby vehicles require distance, light, witnesses, detail recall, and reporting instead of chasing or blocking escape routes. Inside a small convenience shop, a masked robber moves toward the counter. Then the shop owner turns the whole robbery upside down. Inside a small convenience shop, the owner or cashier is working near the front counter. A masked robber enters and moves close to the checkout area, using the tight layout to apply pressure. The doorway, counter, and another person nearby make the space unpredictable as the robbery attempt begins. The suspect tries to control the space, but the shop owner reacts immediately with bear spray. The robber's momentum breaks, and the owner closes the distance instead of letting the suspect keep control of the store. The robber is pushed away from the counter area, while the shop owner keeps pressure on him. The situation shifts from a robbery attempt to the suspect trying to escape the shop. Tight store robberies need clear exits, cameras, alarms, counter distance, and scene security once suspects move away from the business. On a dark residential porch, two suspects move toward a front door. Then the home entry attempt collapses in seconds. On a dark residential porch, the front door becomes the main point of entry. Two masked individuals approach the home, with one in dark clothing moving directly to the door, while another in a white hoodie waits near the steps. The porch and stair path give them a narrow route toward the entryway. The suspect in dark clothing reaches the door first, with the second suspect close behind. As the doorway encounter begins, the suspects lose control of the situation and the porch turns into a sudden escape path. Both suspects move away from the door area, with one dropping low near the steps while the other retreats from the porch. The attempted home robbery does not continue past the entry point. Doorway threats require locked barriers, lighting, cameras, secure interior movement, fast police contact, and preserved footage from a safe position. After a robbery, the escape plan centers on a black getaway car until the exit turns messy fast. After a robbery, the scene shifts toward a black car waiting near the roadside. A person in a green shirt moves back toward the vehicle, using it as the planned escape point. The car appears to be the getaway vehicle, not the robbery target, with the exit path forming around the roadside space. Instead of leaving cleanly, the suspect's escape breaks down around the car. The movement becomes chaotic, and items scatter across the pavement as the getaway loses control. The robber ends up outside the car area, exposed in the open, while the planned escape falls apart beside the parked vehicle. After a robbery, avoid the getaway path, remember plate details, direction, clothing, and contact police from a safe location immediately. Inside a Bogota restaurant, a jewelry robbery turns chaotic when nearby diners refuse to stay passive. Inside a restaurant in the Antonio Nariño area of southern Bogota, customers are seated at nearby booths. A young man enters the dining area armed and targets jewelry from a seated customer. The robbery unfolds between the tables, with several diners close enough to see the encounter develop. As the suspect tried to complete the robbery, diners around the table reacted together. The situation turned into a struggle inside the restaurant, and the suspect lost control of the encounter. The firearm discharged during the struggle, escalating the scene before police arrived. Officers later captured the suspect and recovered the stolen jewelry. Crowded restaurant robberies require distance, clear exits, calm movement, detail recall, and police control instead of joining a struggle physically. A quiet street robbery in Brazil changes instantly when the target turns out to be an off-duty officer. On a residential street in Campo Limpo Paulista, São Paulo, an off-duty police officer walks through a dark and lightly occupied area. A motorcycle approaches from the roadway, giving the rider a fast entry and escape method. The open street and curbside position create the setup for a quick street robbery attempt. As the motorcycle closes in, the attempted street robbery does not go as planned. The victim reacts immediately, and the suspect loses control of the encounter near the curb. The motorcycle moves away from the area, while the suspect is left on the roadway as the situation ends. The planned escape breaks down within seconds. Motorcycle street robberies require curb awareness, distance, lighting, cover, and fast reporting before the suspect controls the sidewalk area fully. A liquor store break-in turns into chaos when the suspect can barely stay upright inside the aisle. Inside a liquor store after hours, the business itself becomes the target of a forced entry attempt. A visibly unsteady man makes his way inside alone and moves through the narrow aisles. Shelves, bottles, and display areas turn the store layout into a difficult space to move through. Once inside, the suspect loses balance between the narrow aisles. Instead of moving quickly or taking control of the space, he stumbles into the shelving and knocks displays out of place. The attempted break-in falls apart inside the store. The suspect ends up tangled in the aisle area, while shelves and products scatter around him, turning the escape into a slow, messy failure. After closing, stores need reinforced doors, cameras, alarms, clear aisles, and fast reporting to limit movement after forced entry begins. Two helmeted suspects walk into a Cambodia store thinking the clerk will fold, but the room reacts fast. Inside a small store in Sihanoukville, Cambodia, merchandise, chairs, ropes, and narrow walking space crowd the room. A clerk and shopper are inside as two males wearing motorcycle helmets enter together. The helmets, tight floor space, and stacked goods make the attempted robbery harder to control once movement begins. The suspects don't gain control of the store. As they move deeper inside, the clerk and shopper push back, turning the attempted robbery into a close struggle around the chairs and stacked goods. The robbery attempt collapses. Instead of leaving with anything, the suspects are forced into a messy confrontation and get fended off inside the store. Helmeted suspects in small stores reduce visibility and space, so clear exits, cameras, alarms, and safe retreat paths matter immediately. Two suspects step off the sidewalk and into a busy shop, but the robbery turns chaotic fast. Outside a storefront on a city street, cars are parked along the curb while pedestrians move across the sidewalk. Two men approach the entrance together, with one in a light shirt and another following close behind. Inside the shop, staff and customers are near the counter and display areas as the pair moves in from the sidewalk. Once inside, the suspects try to take control of the shop, but the room does not freeze. People inside react quickly, movement spreads across the store, and the suspects lose the clean advantage they expected. Instead of a smooth escape, the robbery attempt breaks down inside the store. The suspects are forced back through the shop as staff and bystanders push the situation away from the counter area. Crowded shop robberies require visible exits, cameras, alarms, open floor paths, and fast reporting so people can move away safely. Inside a Northern England betting shop, a robber walks in expecting fear, but one customer reads the moment differently. Inside a Northern England betting shop, customers stand near the machines while staff remain behind the counter. A suspect enters and confronts the people inside, trying to take control of the room. One customer, described in the video as a rugby player, is positioned close enough to react when the robber's attention shifts. As the robber moves deeper into the shop, the rugby player closes the distance and launches a fast tackle, driving the suspect away from control of the room. The robbery immediately changes from intimidation to resistance. The robber is restrained inside the shop, and the situation is stopped before the suspect can continue the robbery attempt. Staff and customers remain inside while the suspect loses the advantage. Robbery response should prioritize distance, barriers, alarms, exits, and trained responders, while customers move away from the active path safely. Inside a small retail storefront, an armed robber moves in fast, but the victim refuses to let the weapon control the room. Inside a small retail storefront, the scene begins near the front entrance with shelves on the left, a rear door, and a counter nearby. An armed robber enters and confronts the person inside at close range. The suspect's plan depends on surprise, distance control, and keeping the weapon visible long enough to force compliance. The confrontation shifts when the victim closes the gap and challenges the robber's control of the weapon. A struggle breaks out near the front of the store, and the robber loses the advantage as the weapon changes hands during the encounter. The robber flees after the failed robbery attempt. Based on the post caption, the suspect was later found in a stolen vehicle after the confrontation. The robbery does not continue inside the store, and the victim's resistance stops the suspect from maintaining control of the scene. Weapon-involved robberies require distance, cover, escape, and emergency contact. Physical resistance should never be presented as routine safety advice. Outside a busy storefront at night, a scooter-linked robbery attempt turns chaotic when the escape path suddenly fills with movement. The scene unfolds on a sidewalk in front of open shops at night, with several people standing near the storefront area. A scooter moves through the curbside space, while a man in a striped shirt and red pants stands close to the street edge. The suspects appear connected to the scooter, using quick movement, the busy walkway, and the street layout to create confusion. Near the storefront path, the targeted person is positioned close enough for a fast approach and a quick escape attempt. The situation changes when the scooter slows near the storefront, and the people nearby react faster than expected. Instead of a clean exit, the suspects lose control of the moment as the scooter becomes part of the confusion. The sidewalk shifts from an easy getaway route into a crowded, unstable scene. The robbery attempt breaks down as the suspects separate and move away from the storefront area. The targeted person and bystanders remain near the shopfront, while the failed attempt stays exposed on camera. Scooter-linked robberies rely on speed and curbside confusion, create distance, step away from vehicle paths, alert others, and report from safety. Two burglars approach a fenced property at night, but the first move toward the building turns into chaos. Outside a small building or home at night, a gate, fence, and walkway frame the property entrance. Two suspects move in from outside, appearing to prepare for a burglary attempt. The intended target remains protected by the property boundary as the suspects begin approaching the entrance area. As one suspect gets close to the entrance area, the plan breaks apart. A brick or hard object is thrown from the property side, stopping the approach and throwing both suspects off balance. The burglary attempt collapses immediately. Instead of entering or escaping cleanly, the suspects are left scattered outside the gate, and the property remains protected. Burglary prevention relies on strong lighting, locked barriers, cameras, and distance from entry paths before suspects control the doorway area. Outside a small Brazilian market, two robbers arrive by motorcycle, but the suspect inside is thrown back out before the escape can work. Outside the small corner market Mercadinho 3M, two suspects arrive on a motorcycle. One stays near the bike as the getaway rider, while the other enters the shop. The setup depends on a fast entry, a quick confrontation inside, and a clean escape back to the motorcycle. Inside the market, the victim reacts quickly. Instead of the robber controlling the shop, the victim pushes the action back toward the doorway and forces the suspect outside. The robbery collapses in seconds. The suspect is forced back out of the store, the getaway setup breaks, and both suspects scramble around the motorcycle instead of leaving cleanly. Store robberies near doorways require distance, cover, clear exits, and police contact once the immediate threat moves away from the shop. Inside a Marionville store, an armed suspect steps to the counter, but the clerk behind it is not an easy target. Inside a Marionville store, the clerk is working behind the register near the counter and surveillance monitor. A would-be robber enters, approaches the counter, hesitates briefly, then appears to pull a handgun. The article describes the clerk as an Iraq War veteran with experience in high-risk work. As the suspect produces the weapon, the clerk quickly draws his own handgun from behind the counter and points it directly toward the suspect before the robbery can continue. The suspect loses control of the moment and retreats from the counter. The attempted robbery ends without the suspect getting control of the store or the register area. Armed counter threats require distance, cover, visibility, legal training, and police notification because sudden movements can escalate the scene quickly. A motorcycle robber rolls up beside two pedestrians, but the man in blue reacts before the suspect can control the sidewalk. On a street in Brazil, a helmeted rider stops a motorcycle near a parked bus and building entrance. A man in blue scrubs and a woman stand near the wall and gate area. The motorcycle gives the suspect a fast escape route, while the curbside position keeps the confrontation close to the sidewalk. The lane man in blue rushes forward and grabs the suspect before the motorcycle can pull away. The woman moves in from the sidewalk, and the suspect loses control of the bike. The motorcycle drops near the curb as both pedestrians keep the suspect from escaping. The robbery attempt collapses in seconds, right beside the parked bus and building entrance. Motorcycle robberies need distance, cover, open escape paths, and rapid reporting. Avoid chasing when a weapon may be present nearby. At a small corner market, a masked suspect walks in during checkout, but the store owner is already watching the doorway. A customer stands near the counter while the shop owner works behind the register. The suspect enters from the front door wearing a light hoodie and face covering, holding what appears to be a firearm. The robbery attempt happens in a tight store layout, with shelves, a checkout counter, and the exit only a few steps away. The suspect closes in near the counter, expecting control through surprise and intimidation, but the owner reacts immediately, forcing the suspect to abandon the attempt before reaching the register area. The suspect retreats through the same front entrance and leaves the store. The customer near the counter stays low and out of the path while the owner keeps control of the scene. Small stores need entrance visibility, panic alarms, barriers, cameras, and clear escape paths. While distance matters more than chasing suspects. On a busy sidewalk plaza, a walking victim was targeted in a sudden grab attempt, but the escape path closed fast. On a busy sidewalk plaza, a woman walks through the public space with people and storefronts around her. A suspect moves in suddenly and appears to try grabbing her as she passes through the area. Benches, trees, storefronts, and multiple bystanders make the space crowded but also highly visible. As the suspect tries to move away, people nearby notice the struggle and react quickly. Instead of disappearing through the sidewalk crowd, the suspect's route is cut off from multiple directions. The suspect is stopped in the plaza area as bystanders gather and take control of the situation. The attempted robbery ends in the open walkway before the suspect can escape. Grab and run theft prevention depends on close control of valuables, crowd awareness, visible routes, distance, and fast reporting afterward. In a metro underpass, a teen girl was cornered by a robber, but the escape plan flipped in seconds. Inside a long metro underpass, a teen girl walks through the tunnel with her belongings. A male robber approaches along the wall and tries to confront her in the passage. The corridor is narrow and isolated, with only a few bystanders farther away. Instead of backing down, the victim reacts immediately. The suspect's attempt to control her breaks apart as she counters his movement, and the confrontation shifts away from the robber's plan. The robber loses balance and ends up down on the floor of the corridor. The victim creates separation, nearby people begin to notice, and the suspect no longer appears in control of the robbery attempt. Transit robberies in enclosed corridors require awareness, distance, lighted areas, witness access, and help calls once safe separation is possible. Inside a cramped shop, a robbery attempt unfolded near the counter, but the suspect's plan quickly lost control. Inside a cramped shop, the worker or owner remains close to the counter area. A person moves through the shop near the entrance and counter, appearing to expect quick control of the room. Shelves, displays, and limited walking space make the scene tight from the beginning. Instead of the suspect controlling the room, the movement inside the shop becomes chaotic. The victim and others nearby react, and the suspect's path toward the counter is disrupted. The robbery attempt breaks down inside the store. The suspect no longer has a clear escape path or control over the shop space, and the situation turns against him. Small shop robberies require clear aisles, exit access, alarm use, distance, and police contact after the immediate threat moves away. In busy traffic, a man tried to rob a white car driver, but the vehicle behind him changed the whole situation fast. In the middle of slowed traffic, a driver sits inside a white car while vehicles are stopped around them. A man in an orange shirt moves up to the driver's side and leans toward the window area. A motorcycle waits directly behind the white car, placing another road user close to the unfolding robbery attempt. The suspect leans into the driver's side area, trying to take control of the moment, but the motorcycle rider behind the car reacts immediately and closes the distance. The suspect loses control of the robbery attempt and is forced away from the vehicle. The driver's car is no longer isolated, and the robbery collapses in the traffic lane. Traffic robbery prevention requires locked doors, controlled windows, space ahead, awareness, safe positioning, and police contact instead of roadside confrontation. Inside a New York shop, a masked robber rushed the counter, but the shopkeeper's reaction flipped the entire robbery in seconds. Inside a New York shop, the shopkeeper works behind the counter near the register area. A masked, armed robber enters the small store and moves directly toward the counter. The robber's goal appears to be quick control of the cash point, the workspace, and the shopkeeper's position. The suspect closes in near the counter, but the shopkeeper quickly grabs a machete from behind the work area. Instead of gaining control, the robber loses the advantage and begins backing away. The shopkeeper chases the robber out of the store, forcing the attempted robbery to collapse. The suspect leaves without controlling the register or the shop. Small store robbery responses should prioritize barriers, alarms, cameras, exits, distance, and police contact instead of chasing outside the shop. Don't forget to share what you learned today in the comments. Your insight could save a life. Take care.